Hello, Farah. Welcome to our new little series, a Q&A with the creative team behind Corinna and the King.
Thanks for having me.
You are the lead scriptwriter on Corinna and the King, and it is a very intricately told story composed of some interviews with Corinna herself, some testimonies. What were your raw materials when you entered the project?
The raw materials for the project were literally the transcripts. And from that, I kind of started building a structure episode by episode and really thinking about how do we get all this great story material and make the most of it. So I was reading through all these transcripts, multiple interviews, 20 hours or so, and just revelation after revelation. The challenge really was how do we take that and make it into a narrative? There is a chronological aspect to the transcripts, to the interviews that Corinna did. So she went through things step by step, but for storytelling, that isn't enough. We don't need a blow by blow, every little detail. Ultimately, it came down to Corinna and the King, the two characters of this story who are central components, who had this love affair, who really disrupted the way the Spanish royal house operated and still operates to this day. So for me, it was really about focusing on these two people as the central components and then building the bricks around that.
And knowing that you had 8 episodes in total, and each episode not being longer than 35 minutes, how did that further complicate this challenge for you?
I have a philosophy when it comes to writing stories, and it's fiction, nonfiction, books, TV, podcast. And that is, how do I translate a story? How do we have that depth and the authenticity to tell something exciting and entertain at the same time? So, in a way, we whittled down the most central parts of this story to the 8 episodes to not just deliver a great story, but also entertain people, keep them on the edge of their seat.
In terms of inspirations, we heard from a reliable source that you were heavily inspired by the opening sequence of Desperate Housewives. Can you talk a little bit about that and perhaps what other inspirations you might have pulled from in the process?
Those TV shows of the 2000s, Desperate Housewives, Ugly Betty, Nip Tuck, that are very glossy and they're very wide ranging. They have a cast of characters and they're kind of a little bit like a magazine in TV form. What I love most about them is that we don't lose any of the emotion. So you're gripped, you laugh, you cry, you are afraid. They don't compromise on the delivery. So when I was looking at this script, it just is so scandalous that I wanted it to be told like a story, basically. And I think because it's been reported so much as well, there was a sort of unique take on it that we had to take almost. And the Desperate Housewives intro, the first 10 minutes, there's a narrator going over the video sequence. There's also Gossip Girl, which I really love, where again, the narrator is kind of taking over the story and leading us along. And it's kind of a comfortable way to listen to a story.
And how long did that take from your first sit down with the transcripts to what we now have out in the world as Corinna and the King, the podcast?
The process from the very beginning, from the structure to the first drafts done by the team to my then the rewrites and the what we have now out in the world, it was about 6 months, I would say, maybe a little bit less. Really good writing. Sometimes I hope it has an effortless quality about it. But the actual truth is that it takes a lot of effort. And that's what we're trying to go for. We want you to relax, sit back, and also for this podcast to sound very different to what is already out there. And so that took, time.
What was your impression or your feeling when you heard those words that you had spent 6 months writing come to life?
It's a very proud moment to hear, all the work that you've done air, and for people to be responding to it with such excitement. And that's a really great feeling. It means that our hard work was worth it. So yeah, I'm feeling really proud, and I think the rest of the team also feel great about it. Everybody in Spain that's worked on this project, the executive producers, of course, Michelle and Laura, who narrated it, really, really channeled that voice. And I think we were very successful in creating what we wanted to create.